Hey fellas, I've created a Watch Mojo style compilation of the most popular memes of each month of 2025, starting with January all the way to December, including an honorable mention for each. In my opinion, these are the most influential and widespread, however I know there are others that didn't make the cut, so if you've got anything that I've missed, please feel free to comment below as I'd love to hear your thoughts. Alrighty, let's start with January, which saw the rise of the chopped chin, which managed to take a silly dance and turn it into brain rot. The chopped chin all began with two people dancing with one another at a basketball game, Renee Montgomery of NBA fame and a guy who is allegedly her cousin who has the insane jawline, resulting in people describing him as the chopped chin. There's this clip of the two of them that was uploaded by the Atlanta Dream Instagram page in mid-2023, and has since been assimilated into online culture as it quickly caught the eye of meme creators. Initially, it started out as a quote meme, with Halal Man 2 seeming to have been the first to chop the chopped chin into a proper trend with the words, "Sometimes I'm not angry, I'm hurt, and there's a big difference," posted on the 4th of December 2024. This is significant and intentional as a work of art, because it references the type of content one might find online out in the wild. You know, the classic stuff reposted so many times by that one person from your hometown who says things like, "They were raised by the school of hard knocks." Since then, Halal Man 2 has been posting these memes on an insanely frequent schedule, often pairing them with the lyrics, "I've been running into you in my head" from the Enox Montano remix of Bring Me Back by Miles Away. It's been revealed that the chopped chin's real name is Angel Wiley, and he has since addressed the situation at hand and has used it to promote his music, which is fair enough. When you become a meme overnight, you have a couple of choices. You can sit back and ride the flash in the pan wave of fame that is completely out of your control, or you can harness it like the Hawk Tour Girl or Bad Baby and become insanely rich. It's definitely difficult to achieve the latter, however, it is definitely possible, so I wish Angel Wiley all the best. Perhaps chopped chin will become something of a calling card for him in the future. It's become associated with several other memes at this point, including Cam Eastie's classic "I bought a property in Egypt" and the Eye of Ra edit of Lil Bo the Me. Plus, due to the fact that the clip of the chopped chin has become so ridiculously widespread, people are beginning to analyze the other spectators behind him in a manner similar to that of the TikTok Riz party from 2024, repeating the structures seen in prior memes. In short, the chopped chin has entered the brain rot zone amongst other popular pieces from this genre, all whilst Angel Wiley embraces it and uses the fame to promote his own career. Honorable mention goes to Seth MacFarlane finally revealing the meaning of "it insists upon itself," letting the world understand what he meant when Peter Griffin said he did not like The Godfather. "It insists upon itself" is widely regarded as one of the most iconic Family Guy moments of all time. It's from episode 17 of season 4, when the Griffins are facing certain death and are revealing all of their deepest, darkest secrets. Peter reveals that he doesn't care for The Godfather, claiming that it insists upon itself to the confusion and anger of his family. Since roughly early 2020, the phrase has become an extremely popular post outside of people repeating it as a funny quote from the show for 2 decades, and has seen heavy usage over the past 5 years to express disdain for certain media properties. However, since late 2024 and early 2025, it really appears to have been pushed back into the public eye, to the point that Seth MacFarlane has actually noticed it and has given us the reason why that particular phrase was used in the episode. He wrote, "It insists upon itself" was a criticism my college film history professor used to explain why he didn't think The Sound of Music was a great film. First-rate teacher, but I never quite followed that one. This grand reveal as to the origins of the phrase is a long time coming, and is truly extremely exciting, as it has become a properly important bit of explanation behind a long-running joke. The fact that the meme has led to the creator of the actual show to come out and explain it just demonstrates how powerful a simple trend can be, and that it's made Seth MacFarlane get involved with the creations referring to Family Guy, one of the biggest inspirations for shitposting in the world, is a significant moment in online culture. I mean, despite it being a nonsensical phrase and employed to demonstrate its own ridiculousness, "it insists upon itself" does kind of make sense. Films like The Godfather or Sound of Music are huge classics, and in a way they are so hyped up to be these incredible productions that sometimes they just become insufferable by existing. A bit like when Game of Thrones was all anyone could talk about, and it felt like it really did insist upon itself. Or perhaps Seth's film teacher was criticizing The Sound of Music for being too earnest in its execution, but at this stage, the phrase can be used to put anything that is popular down. The expectation after using the phrase is that people in comment sections will immediately go for the throat in anger, and so it is more more often than not used to get a rise out of people as an unpopular opinion. In short, it insists upon itself has joined the ranks of other Family Guy posts, cementing itself as a trend in 2025 with Seth's grand reveal of the origins of the phrase. February saw the death of the Duolingo bird, which had the internet in a chokehold until it fizzled out when it turned out to be a marketing stunt. The Duolingo bird has officially died. In a message published on the 12th of January, Duolingo wrote, "It is with heavy hearts that we inform you that Duo, formerly known as the Duolingo owl, is dead. Authorities are currently investigating his cause of death and we are cooperating fully. To be honest, he probably died waiting for you to do your lesson, but what do we know?" It goes on for a bit longer, but it's worth talking about, because Duolingo has perhaps become one of the best companies to embrace digital and meme culture for its own brand. I mean, the existence of this video is enough to show that it works extremely well. They're generally on point when it comes to working within online spaces, and despite it being very obvious that they're only doing it to sell their app, it is a masterclass in how to exploit online attention to promote a product. It started off organically in the late 2010s, when people began joking about the heavy-handed reminders sent by Duolingo when you miss a lesson. These notifications felt almost like a threat with the way they'd constantly pop up, and so artists would lean into that horror aspect and treat the bird like some sort of eldritch entity that could reach you anywhere, anytime. Over the years, this became a running theme, and Duolingo realized that they'd get tons of free press if they lent into meme culture in the right way. Since then, they've taken part in almost every trend to hit the net, and perhaps the death of the Duolingo bird is part of a new rebrand. Either that or it's a reference to bird flu sweeping the United States at the moment, which seems to be somewhat out of control, maybe enough so to kill a digital mascot. Advertising with memes is not an easy feat. It's extremely common for brands to think, let's go viral, without any understanding of what is actually popular at that time. The Bosch company is still using the "like a boss" meme from 2009 in its ads, which is honestly extremely out of touch, but perhaps the meme is so old now that many people have forgotten it and don't really care. However, the truth is that the younger generations are in the workforce now, and meme culture has become an integral part of appealing to others of that generation, so it's more important now than ever to get it right. In short, the death of the Duolingo bird is a marketing stunt that fits in with the rest of their branding, which has been built up off the back of meme culture for over half a decade now. Honourable mention goes to the Grammys, which saw Jaden Smith wearing a weird house on his head. The Grammys are funny. Something absolutely wild always seems to happen as artists dress up in their Sunday best for an award ceremony. First, let's take a look at our boy Jaden Smith wearing a house on his head. He's clearly thinking about the political and economic state of the world. I mean, just look at the pose on him. Arms awkwardly slightly out to the side, face peeping through the front door, absolutely goofing it up on the red carpet. Jaden Smith has popped up in meme culture again and again for his absolute weirdo actions, and it's getting to the point that I'm actually really enjoying watching the guy. Apparently, this house is actually meant to be a vampire's castle, designed by Abodi, who claim it as a bold, modern design inspired by the Transylvanian history and the vampire legends of the Batory. I mean, with Nosferatu wanting his girl to bounce on it crazy style and all, it's no surprise Jaden went for a reference to vampires as they sit in the modern zeitgeist. Or perhaps I'm giving the man too much credit, as he has expressed the idea that he felt like a vampire in the past, so perhaps he's just referencing that period of his life. Then we've got the fact that Kanye West's wife, Bianca Censori, simply wore pretty much nothing at all, arriving in a big furry jacket and pulling it down to reveal an incredibly sheer piece of cloth. And Ye seems to have lost a couple of tours in Tokyo after the stunt, so he's yet again back in the headlines for doing something controversial, although I don't think he particularly cares about that at this stage. Naturally, these two events have been more interesting than the actual winners of the Grammys themselves, which makes sense considering they've arguably spawned the most memes, and thus dominated discourse on social media. Although Kendrick did win a whole bunch, which does tap into the whole beef between him and Drake, so that meme reference is back in the public eye again. The thing about this year's Grammys is, even if you don't care about music or celebrities, there's a high chance you'll hear about the wacky stuff that goes on regardless, as it all slots into meme culture. In short, the insanity of the Grammys, and the fact that it's all just a big show that ultimately feels a bit silly in its existence, has brought to light the weird and wonderful, as Jaden Smith wears a house on his head, and Kanye's wife Bianca gets naked, displaying a Hunger Games-esque level of bizarrity. March saw the intense popularization of Italian brain rot taking the world by storm and resulting in a musical later in the year. For a large part of 2025, it seemed like the thing everything was talking about, even those who weren't a part of meme culture. The Italian brain rot gracing our screens has breathed new life into the genre. AI slop animals are given funny Italian names and their own stories. Although do be warned, many of these stories have themes that are purposefully very edgy and shocking, so it's important to understand that the creators of them have produced them with this in mind. It seems to have started with The Rock, as Italians have been using the man to say the most ridiculous of things for years, allegedly even as far back as the pandemic when he peaked as a human meme, often coupled with the tralalero tralala saying that's now associated with the AI animals. It would seem tralalero tralala comes from Italian nursery rhymes as a sort of sing-song gibberish, which is why it is so often positioned within the Italian memes, as most would be familiar with it. Perhaps this is why the AI animals blew up in Italian online spaces. Animals are often positioned in kids' stories as cute and cuddly characters, but now they're decked to the gills in guns and bombs, which is very similar to how memes in English-speaking spaces twist and warp their own childhood icons. As a result, AI-generated animals like Bombadiro Crocodilo have quickly swarmed online spaces, amongst others with their distinct personalities and matching lore, as Italians give them the most heinous of objectives and twisted stories. They've all got alliterative names that sound absolutely silly, as well as distinct looks that appear as if a child has made them up, but if you listen to what the narrators are actually saying, you'll quickly find out that they're not child-friendly at all. However, if you don't understand Italian, then it goes a step further. It's highly likely that many viewers simply enjoy listening to the rhyming and watching the insane on-screen visuals of AI-generated brain rot. It is in this manner that the memes do what memes do best here. They transcend international boundaries, unconstrained by the need to understand language or intent, and simply operate off of visuals and sound alone. It's kind of like the Arabic strawberry elephant meme from a few years back. There was no need to understand the music, language, or words plastered all over it, only that it looked surreal and funny and could be shared constantly. In short, the Italian brain rot that has been blowing up for the past couple of months takes AI-generated imagery, turns the abominations into mascots, and couples them with edgy stories that are certainly not safe for work if you can understand Italian, but seem very silly and goofy, as many of them spout nursery rhyme gibberish. The honourable mention goes to the Millennial burger places, which perfectly captured the feeling of going into an overpriced burger joint that seems frozen in time from the last decade. Millennial burger places have been sweeping the internet for some time now, and for good reason. They serve overpriced food, an outdated rustic aesthetic, and have meals on cast iron skillets or wooden chopping boards. Accompanying these memes is Carl Gordon's excellent parody of Millennial stomp stomp clap music called We Are Young, which manages to hit all the beats of pop from the early 2010s. The song debuted first as a parody of indie millennial bands, joining in on the established millennial core trend, then seemed to blow up further when associated with the overpriced burger joint. But why are there so many burger places like this? Why does it seem to be an international phenomenon? Well, during the early to mid-2010s, burgers became the it food. It was considered a novelty to go out and buy an expensive gourmet burger, because before then it was really only regular fast food joints that served them, like McDonald's or Burger King. It stayed a pretty popular industry for a while, then slowly petered out until the next exciting food trend came in, but the fact is that many of these restaurants are still around, and with them are all the holdovers of early to mid-2010s millennial BuzzFeed era aesthetics, when that rustic look was considered cool and interesting. This is why they appear so cringe now. Times have changed, and the vast majority of these restaurants were sold off as chains and never innovated, and they became boring. The thing is, these types of memes have been around for a long time, even when millennials were the dominant demographic on the internet. They were making fun of burger places that were going above and beyond to be as obnoxious as possible, like the ones that served them with gold leaf. But ultimately, all of this plays into the millennials are cringe trend, as originally, these places were simply overpriced and outdated joints, but now that millennials have been firmly placed in the category of old, then they fit perfectly there too. As a result, the fact that gourmet burger places became a meme for being ridiculously expensive and outdated a few years ago meant the foundations for adhering to millennial core movements were perfectly set, and as such, Carl Gordon's masterpiece, We Are Young, has become the backdrop to make this trend absolutely fly. April's release of the Minecraft movie led to one of the most famous trends of all time, that of quotes such as "chicken jockey" absolutely exploding in cinemas. Let's take a look at how the world reacted. The Minecraft movie has finally released, after months of anticipation grown from an initial trailer that looked absolutely doo-doo, to many memes spawning fresh from every clip reveal.
They love crushing a loaf.
These mostly consisted of Jack Black just naming things from the game, with favorites such as Chicken Jockey, Flint and Steel, and I am Steve.
I am Steve.
Becoming high-ticket items. These have been turned into the highest order of brain rot, frequently shared across the internet in what can only be described as irony-poisoned bliss. After all, Jack Black's words started off as being regarded as cringe, but it would seem they were repeated so much and so often that people ended up unironically enjoying the energy he was giving. He's totally aware of the effect he's had on meme culture, as there's recordings of him saying the quotes during press tours to enraptured fans. It got to the stage where some were imagining that a post-credit scene of Jack Black covering pure imagination from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, utilizing all the quotes from the film, would inevitably save it from being regarded as bad. However, it seems that whilst a Minecraft movie has received poor critical reception, and that audiences already knew it wasn't going to be good on a technical level, it does seem it's receiving a positive response similar to that of the Mario movie, which also performed poorly on a critical level. Jack Black's performance in the Mario movie as Bowser lifted it to crazy heights, and many watched it just because of the memes his acting inspired. Exactly the same thing is happening here with Minecraft, as we may as well call it a Jack Black movie at this point. Plus, fans of Minecraft are of course going to go and watch it regardless of its review scores, because the game is genuinely a multi-generational property. It cannot be understated how much of an impact this one digital experience has had over the years. From becoming the face of the survival crafting sandbox genre, to carrying the Let's Play boom in the 2010s, to basically inspiring Fortnite, to of course the endless memes coming from it ever since its inception. Minecraft has cultivated a huge player base over the years, and it's certainly a game that I have placed many dedicated hours into, and I can't wait to get back into the 2-week phase as a result. In short, the release of the Minecraft movie has seen poor critical reception, but it turns out it's actually good, due to the anticipation and hype promoted by the memes referencing it and Jack Black, as the silly quotes and brain rot have led to a so bad it's good reception from fans of the game.
Honorable mention goes to 100 Men vs. 1 Gorilla, which spawned so many arguments online that it infiltrated traditional media. Could 100 men beat one silverback gorilla in a fight? That is the question on everyone's lips as the internet debates who would be strongest and why. Sure, a gorilla is massive, with huge muscles, a punch that could concuss, and fangs that could crack a skull, but could it beat 100 average ordinary men who pile on top of it in hand-to-hand combat? I guess it comes down to whether or not these men experience fear, or if they're okay with dying, and if they can just throw themselves at the gorilla until it gets tired. It is, after all, a who would win moment that has been floating around the internet for years, sparking debate in the same vein as the blue/black or white/gold dress, or fighting 100 duck-sized horses versus fighting one horse-sized duck. These questions are designed to encourage discussion, and surprisingly, people will get quite heated if they think their answer is right, which means each clip will have plenty of comments, which means the algorithm sees the engagement and only boosts it more. It's a cycle that essentially perpetuates itself, and despite it being a flavor of the week type debate, it has certainly reached mainstream news outlets as a result of its virality. Gorillas are inherently a funny animal. They're cousins of humanity, so there's sort of a kinship we feel with them and their expressive activities. They often walk on 2 legs, and watching them do day-to-day stuff makes them look almost safe and goofy, until you remember that they can quite easily straight up murder a person. I mean, the main reason humanity got as far as it has is because it uses tools to achieve its goals. 100 ordinary men with spears could take a gorilla down probably no problem, but one ordinary guy with a spear and no combat training? Maybe, if he's lucky. Again, this hypothetical really depends on the ability of the 100 guys to keep themselves together in the face of danger. What would you do if you went with your best mate to fight a gorilla and he ended up having his face bashed in? In short, the 100 men vs. 1 gorilla debate seems to have supporters on both sides, which means it's more likely to encourage heated debate in comment sections, and this is the reason why you're seeing a ridiculous argument invade every single social media platform on the internet. May provided an influx of memes surrounding the idea of the F students being inventors, as students with low GPAs demonstrated that they just might be the future of the world. The idea that those with the lowest GPA or F grades are secretly the smartest and most inventive people in the room is a fun one to play with, and makes for easy content and structure within digital spaces.
And then you got the F students. The F students are inventors. They're so creative that they couldn't sit in class, because whatever people were trying to put in their head, they knew it was
After all, almost every human lucky enough to receive an education has been through this experience. They've either been the student with failing grades who was so bored that they goofed around and did something so stupid it's genius, or they saw someone else do it. I have my own story. During my grade 9 morning home group, I heard a loud bang and saw a bright flash from the corner of my eye. It turns out one of the boys had stuck a fork in a socket and flipped the switch, which at first glance seemed stupid, but the words he said next stuck with me as they truly proved his raw, untapped genius. He said, "I just wanted to see what would happen," seconds before the teacher sent him out of the classroom. Truly, those who are destined for greatness are punished by the ignorance of society, although I have to say, please do not ever do this. It was unimaginably stupid and he could have died. There's millions of stories just like this one spreading around the internet, as the wonders of social media have allowed for real-life situations to be recorded, uploaded, and posted for the good of humanity, nay, for the good of science. The schoolyard is a perfect environment for testing out these important and inspiring moments, and those with low GPA and grades seem to be the ones who have put their lives on the line to provide us with important information. On that note, tons of memes do really spread from the close proximity of humans within a learning environment, a bit like a big petri dish. From every school having an incident that becomes something of an in-house memes for a learning institution to international trends. It makes sense that a place wherein hundreds of kids, teenagers, or even college students are sat together for long periods of time would be somewhere where goofy experimentation would occur. This is why the idea of low GPA activities, or F students are inventors, has gained so much traction. If given enough time to mess around, and generally the students who don't give their schoolwork too much time or effort do sit in this category, there will be excellent results spawning in the form of crazy ideas and inventions. In short, the low GPA activities are simply a label to describe the type of tomfoolery those who do not pay attention in school get up to, often manifesting as inventions and ideas simply too genius for society to comprehend. Honourable mention goes to the Invincible community, proving that madness can be entertaining with the "we can be bees" insanity. It hasn't been long since the last episode of Season 3 of Invincible aired, and it seems the community has been going absolutely nuts since. We've seen countless memes like, "Are you sure?
Are you sure?
I need you, sea salt. Where is Omni-Man? And now, We Can Be Bees is taking the throne.
Good news. We can finally be bees.
I mean, all of this stuff sounds crazy. What are the fans? At any rate, the latest bit to hit the community, We Can Be Bees, seems to have been first uploaded by a very tall Bart on the 25th of April. In a world where YouTube poop isn't as popular as it might have been 15 years ago, valiant artists like Very Tall Bart demonstrate that there's still huge demand for that particular type of tomfoolery, and Invincible seems to be the perfect canvas for the community to take inspiration. As a result, the short clip taken from Very Tall Bart's YouTube poop has become an international sensation, racing to the forefront of Invincible memes, yet slotting in neatly to the insanity of the community's other works. Honestly, it's difficult to take 5 steps in any direction online without being bombarded by consistent references to the show and comic. And these bizarre edits and brainrot are absolutely what makes watching the show enjoyable in the modern era. After you've read through the entirety of a comic or watched a series, you can go online and communicate in ways that appear extremely weird to those who haven't, but very normal and enjoyable to those who do. Invincible manages to strike that fun balance between ridiculous, over-the-top humor and gory intensity. Clearly, the demographic it attracts is exactly into the type of silliness it's putting out, which translates extremely well within the realms of digital spaces, especially within the insanity of YouTube poop. It's been said on this channel before, however, Invincible certainly has become one of those special shows that promotes itself heavily through memes since day one. That original first episode set the internet on fire with its twist, and the show remains something of an underdog, exceeding expectations since. The edits and clips generated by fans are the same. They consistently exceed expectations in terms of longevity, as they can be found almost anywhere online in any comment section or forum. In short, We Can Be Bees sounds ridiculous, but it actually fits in extremely well with the tone set by the comic and show, confirming the fact that its creative community is able to see the humor in anything and flood the internet with high-quality brainrot. June saw the rise of 6'7" absolutely explode into the mainstream, as whilst it wasn't the exact date the trend became popular, it certainly became the month in which its popularity really took off. It's insane how popular 6'7" has remained despite it blowing up as a meme earlier this year. It all started with the song Doot Doot by Skrilla, which became huge in late 2024. Then in 2025, people began repeating the lyrics 6'7", which quickly became a shitpost. Saying 6'7" in a certain manner allows a person to give context and meaning to literally anything. It has transcended its origins as a song lyric and has become a phrase that can shapeshift and change given any context. Its ability to do so is what makes it so perfect for shitposting, as anyone who asks about the meaning of 6'7" can be told it means 6'7". Once this is understood, they too can join in on the crusade. As a result, the 6'7" trend is simply another piece of slang that has made its way into the vocabulary of the internet.
You hear that, man?
Yeah, he was 67 years old.
Hey, it's okay. Wait, 67?
Yeah.
6'7"?
It's absolutely not the first time a piece of human language has evolved in this way. Viral communication, such as emojis, had meaning thrust upon them when they became used in certain contexts. The wilted rose emoji was famous for this, as it has been used as an ironic shitpost to imply sadness, as well as the skull emoji previously to imply laughter. Neither were used in this way particularly frequently decades prior, but ever-shifting contexts and currents of communications online led to them being exploited in this manner. This is why 6'7" has become so interesting. It's existed as a meme for many months, and every time it seems to drop off, it comes racing back to the forefront of social media. Certain moments definitely seem to help it along, however, from that kid yelling 6'7" at the camera during Cam Wilder's basketball video to entire middle schools yelling it. The fact that it is so oversaturated has helped it stay relevant despite it not having any right to after so long. You can look for the meaning anywhere. There's the mango mustard trend, which sees some claiming that mango has 6 letters and mustard has 7, and that's the true meaning of the bit. In short, 6'7" is one of those trends that has forged on against all odds and ensured its own survival many months after it began, simply because the masses on social media keep managing to invent new ways to ensure its relevance despite its nonsensical position. Honourable mention goes to the Trump vs Elon crash-out, in which the two men had their relationship sour in a messy public display, resulting in Elon posting about Trump being in the Epstein files. Donald Trump and Elon Musk are fighting. First, Elon said Trump would have lost the election without his interference. Then, Elon said, time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Then, Elon called for Trump's impeachment. This comes after Elon left the White House, criticizing Trump's big beautiful bill, claiming this massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong, you know it. It was only a matter of time before this happened, considering Elon and Trump were two massive egos working together. Perhaps because Elon was directly within the government, he thought he could influence any decision Trump made, and perhaps that was true for a while, as he said Trump wouldn't have become president without him, but it certainly seems their relationship has soured. Trump came out and said he was disappointed, and that he's not sure if he and Elon will have a great relationship anymore. It should be interesting to watch how the two communicate going forward, and to see if any of Trump's policies end up negatively affecting Musk and his companies. Perhaps there'll be a reduction in SpaceX contracts. In fact, it turns out the response from Trump was pretty predictable, as he also wrote, "The easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts." And consequently, Elon answered he would decommission the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft. Despite this carry-on between the two being fundamentally exhausting and the equivalent of a tantrum, it's extremely interesting to watch it occur in real time as they post every single thought. Normally, these types of disputes are smoothed over by public relations firms and occur behind the scenes, but it appears Elon and Trump want the world to know they are pissed off at one another. It certainly means much of this information plays out with all the seriousness of a toxic relationship, as if two lovers found issue and got their entire oppositional friend groups involved. To be fair, digital culture has positioned them both as lovers as a trend for quite some time, given their prior ability to work together and support one another, so it does seem as if these stereotypes are coming home to roost. In short, the fight between Donald Trump and Elon Musk seems to be a long time coming, as the both of them believe themselves more important than the other, and consequently were predicted to clash as soon as things didn't go the way they wanted. July saw the word clanker become a mainstream slur against robots, as the universal adoption of AI tech led to the imagining of a future where humans find ways to be robophobic. The word clanker becoming a slur in a world where prejudice and extreme hate are identifiable aspects of society is an understandable concept.
Clanker? clanker. Keep it pushing, bro.
With the rise of AI large language models becoming stand-ins for intimate relationships, due to the sheer amount of secrets people tend to share with digital companions, it became common practice to imagine a scenario in the future where a person would find their kid bringing home a new partner consisting of a robot body and AI mind, to which a parent would call them clanker with a hard R, and the slur would mirror real-world racial issues. Some describe it as robophobia, as one can be certain that a future in which robots become partners for human beings is going to have its problems. The Animatrix, an incredible anthology of animated stories existing as a prequel to the first Matrix film, encapsulates the concept of robophobia extremely well, demonstrating what might happen to humanity in the future. Then there's the fact that clanker has been strong in meme culture for many years. After all, it ultimately comes from Star Wars referencing its droids. The first time clanker was uttered as a slur seems to be in the Excellent Republic Commando game, released in 2005, and of course, within the Clone Wars TV show as well. It makes sense that animosity toward enemy combatants that exist as killer robots would manifest in such a universe, but it also turns out that droids aren't exactly beloved in the civilian world either. Famously, the Mos Eisley Cantina won't let droids inside, so C-3PO and R2-D2 have to stay outside whilst Luke and Obi-Wan enter. As a result, it would seem that heavy anti-droid sentiment has become a regular part of society in that universe. Possibly because of the Clone Wars in which they inflicted heavy casualties, or perhaps just because the owner of the cantina is super robophobic. As a result, there have been trends referencing clanker for many years, with some even describing it as the C-word of Star Wars. Any way you look at it, the word clanker was inspired by a fictional society in which robots seem to exist as second-class citizens, and it's totally possible that this will be the case in our own society in the future. In short, the memes surrounding clanker, as well as the other slurs for robots, have become commonplace in digital media as artists imagine a future in which people strike up intimate relationships with AI, and those who cannot accept it turn to insults and stereotypes paralleling the racists or xenophobes of today. Honorable mention goes to the Coldplay kiss cam catching a cheating CEO, which quickly became a mainstream meme. A couple at a Coldplay concert have been caught cheating, red-faced and red-handed as the kiss cam rolled over to them cuddling, only for them to both duck away instantly and try to hide their faces, ultimately making the situation worse, as lead singer Chris Martin said,
"Oh, look at these two. Alright, come on, you're okay? Oh, what?" Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy.
Turns out he was right, because yes, the two of them are both married to other people, and are very likely witnessing their personal lives imploding at this very moment. It gets wilder. It turns out the man, Andy Byron, is the CEO of data company Astronomer, and the woman is the head of HR at that company. Perhaps if the two of them never reacted as they did, people wouldn't have looked into who they were and what was going on, as it was clear they did not want to be filmed. You can definitely see in great detail their faces betraying the second they died inside, inevitably provoking the Streisand effect as their attempts to censor their mistake only amplified interest in it. It just goes to show that expecting privacy whilst cheating on your spouse isn't reasonable, as the two of them have had their faces blasted across the internet and will always have their names recorded and associated with this moment forever. Cheating scandals are absolutely something that draws the attention of meme creators. After all, they're messy, complicated, charged with high emotions like lust and shame, and so it makes sense that this particular scandal would elicit so many memes. Many have drawn parallels to the idea of the work wife, which manifests as people tell themselves the person they have an office crush on is not cheating, as it's just a friend they hang out with at work. It's certainly a stereotype for CEOs and the like who spend all their time at work to promote their employees on the basis of an affair. Or, perhaps for some, this type of cheating represents the hypocritical aspects of LinkedIn culture, where corporate bosses consistently claim they are the best at what they do and are the epitome of good work ethic, only to turn out to be not so nice people in real life. At the end of the day, this video is pure shame and embarrassment condensed and compacted into a short video, and that is enough to draw anyone's attention. In short, the CEO of Astronomer turns out to be not so nice a guy, and the fact that he tried to hide his shame immediately has only compounded attention toward it, leading to endless memes poking fun at the corporate LinkedIn culture that led to this moment. August had the privilege of being the month just after the 2025 War of the Worlds dropped, and Ice Cube's performance managed to win an astonishing 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. The latest War of the Worlds film has been an absolute stinker, and yet so glorious.
Hey, Pops! Pops! I'm not your daddy, man.
You hacked my fridge?
Starring Ice Cube, its debut managed to garner an incredible 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, although at the time of writing it had scraped up to a massive 4%. So why is a guy who managed to star in some pretty successful films leading this absolute piece of dog shit? Well, it all comes down to COVID, apparently, as this thing was mostly filmed via Zoom due to social distancing restrictions during that era. Hence why each actor feels completely disconnected from the interactions with others on screen, because they were never in the same room to begin with. The fact that it quite clearly sat on the shelf for 5 years is telling, as it would seem that streaming services likely panicked during COVID and invested a ton into original movies during that time, leading to products that definitely should have been released in 2020 as goofy fun. Not to mention the intensely ridiculous product placement, like a plot point that literally involves Ice Cube ordering a USB from Amazon Prime and the other characters going off of how cool and convenient the drone delivery system is. However, given its status as a meme, I could see this film becoming a bit of a cult classic. Something so bad that it defines the COVID era in a fun way, because it really is genuinely hilarious at times. As a result, this reboot has cemented itself as a properly exciting milestone in the history of a story that has been told many times over. H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds is a classic that defined many of the alien invasion tropes we see today. It was first published in 1898, then broadcast as a radio serial in 1938, famously convincing some that a real-world alien invasion was taking place as the first half of the story was broadcast in breaking news format. We've had several reboots since, involving a fun Tom Cruise one from 2005, but this 2025 release has become culturally significant in its ability to be absolutely awful. Even the CGI is lacking, appearing to have been whipped up as quickly and cheaply as possible. The icing on the cake, however, has to be the moment Ice Cube sees his son being obliterated by aliens via FaceTime, and the delivery of the emotional moment seems like something a couple of film students messing around would create. In short, The War of the Worlds is a creation of the COVID era, shot mostly via Zoom with the product placement running rife, as it sat on the shelf for 5 years to be eventually released to the world in a glorious, cheesy D-movie package.
Honourable mention goes to the internet turning their profile pictures into Clippy, thanks to Rossman wanting the way technology companies operate to change. You've probably noticed something of a cult online. Everyone is changing their profile pictures to a little image of Clippy, aka Clippit, the Microsoft mascot that came baked in with Microsoft Office between the years of 1997 to 2003. It all started thanks to Louis Rossman, the tech YouTuber also known for spearheading the Right to Repair movement, claiming that your tech should be repairable without voiding warranty. However, he's pushing a new movement this time, and that is with the title of his video, Change Your Profile Picture to Clippy, I'm Serious. In it, he explains that AI and software companies have become extremely invasive throughout the technology people use from day to day, from scraping your edits to train AI, to constantly changing the terms and conditions of a sale after a sale is made. He says that whilst Clippy was bundled with older software whether people liked it or not, it was always trying to be helpful and never sold your data to advertisers. Hence, he's asking everyone who is frustrated with the current state of software to change their profile picture to Clippy. The fact that he's got a few copies of Black Mirror on his desk in the background is definitely intentional, as he wants to say that the world we live in is not normal and feels dystopian. The frustration is definitely aimed at a world where technology is becoming increasingly bureaucratic and exploitative, as companies try every trick in the book to get customers to pay more for less. Changing a profile picture to Clippy is a fun way to express this frustration, as it becomes a meme reminiscent of prior movements on social media that required the same with different symbols. It's easy to take part in, as it doesn't require much from the viewer except to quickly edit a profile picture, and allows those who see others doing the same thing to feel as if they belong to a movement. As such, Rossman's assertion that if you want to eventually affect policy change, you must first affect cultural change seems to be a winning strategy. People will see that the profile pictures of others are that of a Microsoft Office mascot from decades ago, ask why this is happening, and inevitably watch videos like this one to find out. In short, the addition of Clippy to everyone's profile pictures has become a meme pushed by a need to implement real-world change, as technology becomes an increasingly exploitative and invasive aspect of human society. September saw the Gen Z protests take over various countries, with some movements using the one-piece flag as a meme to represent standing up to the government. Gen Z has taken over Nepal, as the protests in the country reached fever pitch to the point that politicians and even the Prime Minister were thrown out by those frustrated with corruption and the widening inequality between the rich and poor. This uprising of the youth appears to have been orchestrated somewhat by meme culture, which allowed young Nepalese to spread messages about their frustrations online. The one-piece flag became a symbol of rebellion once again, after Indonesia's protests utilized it heavily. However, the most common memes spreading political messaging were contrasting the luxurious wealth of politicians and their families and the intense poverty faced by citizens. This was made clear and spread primarily by social media, which young people, aka Gen Z, say is the main reason the political elites tried so hard to stifle online discussion surrounding the exposure of corruption. After all, Nepal's government temporarily banned several social media websites including YouTube, which appears to have been the final straw for citizens before they took action on the streets and burned down the ministerial palace. There's a clear and definable anger allowed by the fact that social media let citizens see what kind of activities and lifestyles Nepalese rulers and their family members got up to, which of course is incredibly different to the people they ruled over. Social media also allowed those citizens to film themselves and others actually going inside the houses of the elite and just taking stuff from them, which has been shared extensively across the internet. There's also footage posted of Nepalese politicians evacuating their extravagant homes, hanging onto ropes just to escape the furious people down below. That being said, now that the government has been toppled by the people, there's a concerted effort from the citizens to show it is important to clean up the mess. There's clips of Gen Z and others working to clean up and improve broken infrastructure, claiming they are taking accountability for the damage caused by the revolution. And now it seems they are deciding the country's future over Discord, meeting to discuss who should be in charge of what and why, which is perhaps a true representation of the younger generations using modern tech to run things. It's also worth noting that there seems to be a bit of a worldwide trend at the moment in regards to governmental issues, as many societies are so frustrated with the cost of living crisis, whilst those making the decisions seem to be incredibly rich, and even France has protesters waving the one-piece flag now. In short, the fall of the Nepalese government at the hands of the self-described Gen Z protest demonstrates how social media and memes can lead to real-world repercussions, as young people express their frustrations so effectively that they change a country's leadership. Honourable mention goes to the Rapture predicted to have occurred in late September, with rumours that some people sold all of their possessions in preparation. Apparently, the Rapture is in full swing, and some are claiming to be selling all their stuff or giving it away in preparation for the holy event. If you're not clued into the Rapture, it's effectively the end of days for Christians, and is particularly prominent in American evangelicalism, with the idea that dead and alive believers will ascend to the clouds whilst non-believers will be basically stuck on earth below, enduring trials and tribulations. It's worth noting that not every Christian believes this will be happening, but there seems to be a pretty vocal group that has spread the idea that it is definitely happening extremely soon. Apparently, the idea that the Rapture will be taking place on the 23rd and 24th of September started thanks to videos posted by a South African pastor a couple of months ago, who claimed Jesus Christ is coming to Earth for real this time. Sometimes it seems pretty clear that people who claim they've given away everything and are the chosen ones are just rage baiting, but other times it seems possible some genuinely believe the Rapture will be extremely soon. And even if the Rapture doesn't happen, there's nothing stopping the believers from simply waiting for another prediction that the world is coming to an end. End times memes have happened before, like 2012 being the end of the Mayan calendar. However, predictions that the world is ending are extremely common and of course have become memes for years. After all, the idea that everything will be just gone is extremely terrifying, and fear is an emotion that holds more than enough weight to make people spread an idea. What's interesting is that many people believe we are already living in the end times, that the war, famine and death widespread across the globe is indicative of a rapture that has already happened, as we face extreme trials and tribulations every day. But I digress. The point is that the Rapture has become a meme in itself, expanding outside of the Christian circles in which it was born. And it will be extremely interesting to see if the Christians who do believe in the Rapture, and that it is definitely happening now, will give a response to the world if they are not chosen to ascend to the clouds. In short, a South African pastor predicted the end times would occur on the 23rd and 24th of September 2025, and as a result it would seem many decided that he was telling the truth and that Jesus would really come during those times, whilst others took the idea and turned it into a meme, echoing similar apocalyptic predictions of old, such as 2012. October saw Chicken Stars become a niche meme, showing that it's the most annoyingly catchy songs that do the best online. Honourable mention goes to the rabbit pointing to a clock implying that you're running out of time, spreading anxious dread everywhere. Seeing Adam Sandler's 2023 animated vehicle, Leo, return in the form of the Chicken Stars meme is unexpected, as Cole sings about his last year in elementary school and every bit of his childhood he enjoyed, which includes Chicken Stars, of course. The particular song has been picked up and spread across the internet in 2025, as some have decided to add it to the concept of the niche meme. You know, brain rot like those baby fruits, or when you're on X but everyone else is on Y. Plus, it seems like there's a certain aversion to the fact that Cole is singing about all these childish loves. Toy soldiers, dipping dots, fun-sized bars, slip and slides, fart noises, chicken stars. He's earnest in his delivery, and perhaps it's this earnestness that some are finding a bit cringe in a digital environment where cynical irony reigns supreme. Not to mention his voice is consistently cracking, which I'm sure is an intentional choice from the film's direction as it emphasizes the transition from the last days of childhood. Meanwhile, consistently finding the most niche and unused memes is a race to the bottom, as whilst it's great fun to watch new trends pop up and dominate overnight, it also means that they're left in the dust rather quickly and fade away in popularity. That's not to say that this hasn't always happened. There are billions of memes made and shared every day, and many of them crop up and die off extremely quickly. However, the constant search for something new that others haven't found means niche memes can be discarded fast. Chicken Stars is, undoubtedly, an incredibly popular meme right now, and you can see evidence of this manifesting as an almighty boom on Google Trends. However, it wouldn't be surprising if it remained this way for only a couple of weeks or so, and this is because so many people are finding it, watching it, then looking for the next big thing. Again, it's a natural cycle that has stayed the course of social media for many years, as you can always find people talking about the good old days when memes lasted longer, referencing certain years that also had people referencing the same grievance. Some memes do still last a very long time, which we've seen occur lately with 6-7, but then others like Chicken Stars may not do so unless they're able to evolve into something new entirely. In short, the Chicken Stars memes demonstrates an aversion to earnest moments, as the song about leaving childhood manifests as cringe on social media, as well as how quickly edits can crop up as a niche trend, then become mainstream mega hits in a matter of moments. November saw Casius Thundercock's debut in digital culture, as the trooper with the hat down struck fear into the world with the words "body cam off." This trooper, who has the world's strongest jawline, looks like he fits into every single stereotype of a hardline officer who will not hesitate to use extreme prejudice, brutality, and turn his body cam off should you be pulled over by him. Not only does he wear his hat extremely low and forward, obscuring his face, but his jawline appears to be so strong and jutting out that it could cut glass. What's interesting is that this isn't the first time the internet has seen this meme pop up, due to the fact that it first appeared in November 2024, thanks to its original source being a college football game. The image has been going strong for a good while. Then, in November 2025, it would surge in popularity once again as artists would make edits referencing its existence. Common themes include the turning off of body cams and an accent pronouncing the word vehicle as vehicle, turning the man into something of a terrifying cartoon character. Some call him Casius Thundercock after his distinct resemblance to the overly developed Chad and Giga Chad trends. He has quite the social media presence outside of the meme too, featuring on the Tennessee Highway Patrol Facebook page as he was promoted to captain in May. The memes paint him in a light reminiscent of characters like Sergeant Lockjaw from one battle after another, who has no issue employing any means necessary to get his point across, and embodies a very specific stereotype of a roided out authority figure. Seriously, the man outmogs anyone he's next to, and offers a face card strong enough to send him back to the Cro-Magnon era and still come out on top. Apparently, the hat he wears is called a campaign hat, and the reason they end up leaning so far forward is because the strap is meant to be sitting on the back of the head, although some wear it on the chin too. This look has given it the distinctive air of making him look like some kind of henchman military goon, the type of look Soldier from TF2 rocks, although his helmet is more pot-shaped, so it makes sense on that end. It's gotten to the point that people are effectively role-playing as Eric, aka Cassius, as it's a notable event that a person with such an intense visual appearance paralleling that of a cartoon character would be filmed and placed into meme culture. In short, Captain Eric Miller of the Tennessee Highway Patrol has inspired countless memes due to his striking jawline and the position of his campaign hat, as his appearance brings a visual intensity one might expect from a person who is unafraid to turn their body cam off and employ discreet brutality.
Honourable mention goes to Freerun Looking Up, which proved how the art community can come together to celebrate the goofiness that goes into learning a creative skill. Freerun Journey's End has inspired many emotions, not only because it's a beautiful story that received many awards for its fantastic narrative and compelling characters, but because of this incredible art drawn by Space Dev 1 on the 13th of November. This single attempt at drawing Freerun from a lower angle, captioned, "I practice drawing faces in a different angle, but it looks kinda weird lol," has led to endless attempts from other artists to draw Freerun in the same way. You see, drawing from this particular angle is extremely difficult, and Space Dev 1 published their results knowing it looked goofy because they knew they would eventually get better. It looks ridiculous, yes, but that's part of being an artist and always striving to improve. This is why the wider community has turned the Freerun redraw into yet another challenge that has turned into a meme, as it's become more than referencing a silly picture. It's become a community effort to acknowledge the noble endeavour of learning and craftsmanship. In fact, Space Dev 1 has even gone so far as to thank the internet for everything, stating, "I just shared it because it looked silly, but oh my god, the publicity, the tips. I didn't even know that drawing would touch that many people's soul. Thank you." Everyone who has attempted to work on something in the creative space understands the fact that to be good at something, first you have to be bad at it, and it's just so nice to see so many acknowledge that fact. It's reminiscent of that old Susco drawing of which a poster claims was drawn when they were 13 years old, although it remains to be seen if they're telling the truth as no evidence was given. Some would even argue that proper redraw challenges almost feel like rebellion against AI-generated content because of the obvious imperfections that make a person's art style ensure they are original, unique, and interesting. Meanwhile, as stated prior, Freerun Journey's End is genuinely an incredible story, and the first episode of the anime can hit extremely hard if you've experienced loss of a relationship in any capacity. I highly recommend watching it or reading the manga if you are so inclined. In short, there's just something so endearing about a person uploading their attempt to draw a particular subject, and it would seem anime characters are one of the most popular icons to receive this attention, as they seem simple at first, but artists quickly find out that certain angles require a ton of experience to get just right. Whilst December hasn't quite finished yet, it's safe to say that gloving has taken the month by force, proving that it is indeed the most dangerous sport. There's so much gloving lore about the heavy hitters involved in the sport, and it can be quite intense.
Created the most dangerous style in gloving. In 2008, two gloving legends by the name of Wongtan and Teardrop started changing the colors of their lights in their glove from one hand to the other.
It turns out glovers can take themselves extremely seriously, and this is what many shitposters are satirizing. Then there's the phrase degloved, which outside of gloving is a horrific injury in which your skin comes off, but in the gloving community means being banned and having your gloves removed, so you can't do it anymore. Gloving essentially involves putting on light shows for people at nightclubs, raves, concerts, and the like. Anywhere where there's a dark space and the lights can shine. Often you'll get clips of people pretending to be glovers and talking about being unemployed, implying the hobby is something only those without a job would do. There's plenty of videos on social media of people going out and giving light shows to audiences in real life, so this is a thing that has been going on for many years. EDM concepts like plur, peace, love, unity, respect, are often thrown around in these clips, connecting them with the dance scene. Done properly, gloving does look kind of cool, but it seems some people lack the self-awareness to realize it can look pretty goofy. Kevin Cablé, aka Puppet, is the glover who gives the biggest lowdown on the lore and community around gloving, and you can tell he really cares about this profession with his videos about the most dangerous style of gloving. Due to the fact that he is the most prominent figure on social media regarding exploring the scene, it would appear that many are interacting with him specifically due to this increased interest in the sport. The best part is that the people who started off poking fun at gloving have rehearsed routines enough times that, if they turn the lights out, they'd probably stand a chance of being recognized for it. Soini has demonstrated her ability to copy many of the moves glovers present to audiences, and she's been commendably making clips about it for a huge chunk of 2025.
We are Charlie Kirk, we carry the flame.
Then there's the fake beef between Hoopify and Draco Army, with some creators describing it as an up-and-coming civil war, so it seems gloving is fast becoming an insane, chronically online trend that began with a niche community and has continued to blossom into 2025 with a full-on revival. Honourable mention goes to the John Hamm dancing scene, which seems to have expanded into all mainstream areas online and offline. The clip of John Hamm dancing, also known as the "turn the lights off" trend, has become a widespread reaction meme across social media. It's often become a dance to represent the feeling of accepting fate, similar to the cooked dog reaction image. However, it is also extremely versatile and can simply mean a person is happy. The original clip comes from the TV show Your Friends and Neighbours, in which Jon Hamm's character, Coop, hits the club, although you might be disappointed to know that the original also doesn't feature Kato's track Turn the Lights Off, which is what is normally paired with it. At any rate, it would appear this clip has been used in digital culture consistently for the past couple of months, and whilst earliest found posts appear in October, it may have been utilised earlier, given the fact that Apple posted their clip way back in March. Not to mention, Jon Hamm has been a consistent icon throughout digital culture, as his lead role in Mad Men has led to countless shots of him becoming trends, notably watching cinema alone. Both memes give a similar vibe to one another, with an almost melancholic yet happy feel at play here. Meanwhile, it's the fact that Hamm's character has clearly got an injury on the front of his nose that makes this scene pop, as if to demonstrate that not is all as it seems and Coop is dancing away despite an obvious issue. It reflects the club scene of the post-financial crisis after 2008, in which utopic music was the norm as everyone wanted to dance their worries away. It fits that the track that is paired with the clip most often sits within that era, as Turn the Lights Off was released way back in 2010, and this genre of music has been labelled recession pop. Recession pop has been noted as seeing something of a resurgence lately, and it makes sense given the economic uncertainty and cost of living crisis the world finds itself in. Naturally, this means a meme in which Jon Hamm is dancing to recession pop is going to do extremely well, and extremely well it has done, as it's almost impossible to escape at this point. It really is adaptable and works in almost any situation, becoming a fantastic demonstration of the natural evolution of meme formats as it exists as a fluid video clip rather than a static image. In short, the Jon Hamm dancing meme, aka Turn the Lights Off, has become a widely adopted clip taken from the show Your Friends and Neighbours, reflecting the feeling where all worries melt away as it's paired with recession pop. What meme would you guys like me to give a lesson in next? Let me know in the comments below.
Cheers guys, I just wanted to say thank you for watching, it really does mean a lot and I appreciate you all. Here's hoping 2026 lives up to the hype.
Remember, like and subscribe! Or else...